You ever been to the pub with friends, deep in thought about life's big questions, and someone says, "Mate, lighten up. It's just a pint." Why is it then that when you start talking about philosophy, the universe, ideas, anything remotely deep, people get uncomfortable? Why does society seem to fear those who think differently, who question the norm? In this episode, we're going to look at Arthur Schopenhauer and how he thinks society fears intelligent people. He's often called the philosopher of pessimism, and he's one of those that didn't really sugarcoat life in itself. He believed that life was driven by an insatiable force, the will, as he called it, that leads us into endless cycles of desire and suffering. But beyond his darker views, Schopenhauer offered some great insights into society, actually, about individuality and intelligence. Here's a really good quote. Talent hits a target no one else can hit. Genius hits a target no one else can see. Think about that for a second. Talent hits a target no one else can hit. Genius hits a target no one else can see. It's not just that intelligent people are different. It's that they see things others can't comprehend or won't see. And that's what can make people uncomfortable. Think about it, it's a threat to conformity. Society runs on conformity. We create these social norms to keep things predictable. But what happens when people question these norms? Imagine that you're at a family dinner. Someone brings up a controversial topic, maybe questioning politics, religion, societal expectations, gender, race, whatever. And people get defensive. They shift in their seats and they are scared to say anything. It's a bit like the shadow self we talked about on the last episode. But have you ever felt that tension? Why do people avoid these deeper conversations? And Schopenhauer would argue that society resists these deep conversations or deep thinking because it threatens the comfort of the status quo. It forces people to confront uncomfortable truths that they'd rather just ignore. Because look, intelligence is a mirror. Highly intelligent people act as a mirror, reflecting not only the good, but the mediocrity and flaws of those around them. They didn't do it intentionally, of course, but it happens and it makes people uncomfortable. They can see things that you don't even know about yourself. Imagine standing in front of a magnifying mirror underneath harsh lighting. It highlights every flaw you have, and that's how deep thinkers can make others feel. If you could choose between knowing an uncomfortable truth about yourself or staying blissfully ignorant, what would you pick? Most people would choose ignorance. It's safer and easier. Think of the film The Matrix when he eats a steak and says ignorance is bliss. That's what a lot of people are like. And this is why intelligent people face envy, resentment, and sometimes even hostility. So what tends to happen is solitude rather becomes a natural state for the wise. Schopenhauer famously said, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone." Deep thinkers crave solitude, not only because they dislike people, but because small talk and or surface level rather conversations can feel draining, boring, and mundane. You've been to parties, haven't you, where they talk about TV shows, celebrity gossip, and you're thinking to yourself, is this it? That's the Schopenhauer effect. Your mind craves depth, but the world often only offers shallow waters. When was the last time that you had a conversation that truly made you think? How often do you have these? Thing is, there's a burden of self-awareness. That's one of the darker sides of high intelligence. You can see yourself through the filter of intelligent knowledge. And Schopenhauer believes that the more that you understand life, the more you see its flaws, the suffering, the contradictions, the chaos. And it's like pulling back the curtain in The Wizard of Oz, isn't it? And once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. Imagine you're the only sober person at a wild party. At first, it's funny, but after a while, it feels annoying, lonely, alienating. You realize that people say, I mean, I've done it before where, I'm driving, had a beer, and other people are, getting properly drunk. And they will say the same story all night. And after a while, it does start to get pretty fucking annoying. So, does deeper understanding bring happiness, or does it actually make life harder? Is mediocrity the safe zone? The common man is not concerned with the truth, but with maintaining his illusions. If you could live in a perfect illusion, no pain, no suffering, but it wasn't real, would you choose that over a flawed but authentic life? This is the dilemma intelligent people face. Coming back to the Matrix, takes a red pill to see reality even though it's painful and dark. Society rewards conformity because it's easier. So why schools, workplaces, and friend groups often promote fitting in over standing out. So how can we thrive as a deep thinker in a conforming based world? So we can embrace solitude, can't we? But not isolate ourselves. Solitude is a gift for those deep thinkers where, that's where creativity and insight can thrive. But don't fall into the trap of isolation. There is a very close relationship between the two. Maybe try and find places where you can have meaningful conversations, book clubs, philosophical forums, whatever, online chats. And actually, we need to accept society's limits and don't resent them. Suffering comes from expectations that aren't met. If we understand how things are rather than idealistic, we can learn to not resent and not be disappointed. Accept that everyone is not wired the same and actually try and seek out those people who are wired differently in a good way. And use intelligence as a bridge, not a barrier. It's easy to become cynical when you feel misunderstood. But real wisdom lies in using your insights to help others, not to make them feel small. So how can you use your knowledge to uplift people rather than pull away from them and act differently? Because there is a dark side of genius, mental and emotional toll that deep thinking can bring. The overthinking, the existential dread, loneliness are common pitfalls. The genius curse, then, is the idea that profound intelligence often comes with those emotional struggles. So ground yourself through mindfulness, getting out into nature, whatever, or some sort of creative outlet. Because balance is the key. Don't let your mind become a prison. It might seem like a dark philosophy from Schopenhauer, but there is a liberating truth at its core. The person who follows the crowd will usually go no further than the crowd. The person who walks alone is likely to find themselves in places no one has ever been before. Think of life as a forest. Most people stick to the well-worn paths. It's safe, predictable, easy, but the most beautiful views, where are they? They're off the beaten track. They're off-piste, trailblazing. If you can see a path, you're probably on someone else's. So what you should do is make your own path and leave a trail, as they say. So what are some practical takeaways from this? Embrace solitude because it fuels your creativity. Guard your energy because not everyone deserves access to your thought process. Be compassionate to people who, maybe they don't understand, maybe they are a bit stupid. Don't be the upturned nose guy. And channel your depths. Understand and create things. Don't just critique. And find a tribe. If you know that you want to speak about certain topics and you don't want to speak about celebrity, Love Island, and all that shit, then find a tribe of deep thinkers who you can talk to people or talk about things to. Having the courage to be different is a superpower. And Schopenhauer's philosophy reminds us that being intelligent and authentic isn't always easy, and actually, it can be a burden that can lead to difficulty, but it can provide true freedom. So, next time you're at the pub and someone tells you to lighten up, just smile. You're not here for the shallow end. You're here to jump off the diving board into the deep end. Just remember then, although it can be a burden, it's still worthwhile to be intelligent.